All right, this next video comes to us from Tomie, who is currently here. HorrorTomie, who has allowed us to react to the videos plenty of times, which I very, very much appreciate. I'm definitely trying to lean more towards people who request for us to specifically watch the videos, or I know who are okay with it. Obviously for reasons that you found out, Tomie, that some people don't take kindly to that sort of thing and get really uppity about it. So I'm trying to lean more towards people that recommend their own stuff. So don't feel bad about recommending your own stuff in the future, because that is kind of more what I'm leaning towards anyway. But your video today is talking about, will DBD always be the or DBD will always be the king of Asyms, probably in reference to Killer Clowns coming out, and Killer Clowns already kind of having to have its own issues and become rough, despite the fact that it's very, very new. That's going to be my assumption. But as always, make sure you guys click that link that I posted, and also if you're on YouTube, if this hits YouTube, it'll be down in the description below. Make sure you support the official release.
So every couple of months now, there seems like there's a brand new Asym released, and honestly, it's just like a way for me to get a break from DBD. So recently I caved and I ended up buying Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and I've got to say, it's honestly one of the most fun gaming experiences I've ever had. It is just complete unorganized chaos, and honestly, if you can organize the chaos, it makes it so much more fun. Genuinely just one of the best Asym experiences I've ever had. I've played games in the past like Texas, I played VHS a lot, and I played DBD obviously all the time. And the purpose of this video is to discuss why I think DBD will always be the king of Asyms and where all of the other Asyms just go wrong. Now, the major thing that comes to mind when I think about games like Killer Clowns and Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the fact that they never do events or like battle passes or anything to keep player attention. But when I'm playing Killer Clowns on Halloween, I want to have like a unlockable cosmetic for each clown, or when I'm playing Texas Chainsaw Massacre at Christmas, I want to be able to have a cosmetic for the teens, which is like a Santa hat.
Because that's something that's like universal against all of us as like people. We like festivities, we like holidays. Even if you don't like certain holidays, you probably have a favorite. Even if it's just your birthday, you little selfish ass. Maybe it's just your birthday. Maybe you just like it being all about you. That's a holiday. Some people like Halloween, some people like Christmas, some people just like holidays in general. Celebrating is fun. So the fact that, yeah, that's something I didn't even think about, to be honest. Like something that really successful that DBD does is like they're always like, even like more like obscure like holidays that we don't celebrate as much in the West, like the Chinese New Year and stuff. They're like, yeah, there you go. You know, so like the fact that they hop on celebrations all the time is a really good, really strong point of DBD. I didn't even think about it. It's a good point. I think it's cotton candy ever since that movie. It was really funny. So when somebody first brought up Killer Clowns, like I saw it like forever ago, and it's like Killer Clowns is getting Asym. And I'm like, in that movie with like the cotton candy kill, like that was literally my response. Like in that movie where the cotton candy thing.
Just really basic stuff like that, and make us do certain things to actually get these challenges. It keeps player attention.
Yeah, I get what you mean,
and it keeps people coming
like, it's hard
back
to
the game.
phrase what you're
player
trying to look
attention
for,
is a
like,
really big problem in these games, and I think that if they added events and like just small things, earn a t-shirt if you play 100 games, stuff like that, it really helps. Killer Clowns came with a temporary fix for this, which is having like challenges to unlock cosmetics, and I think that's great. It'll keep people playing for a longer time. Now, the biggest reason why I don't think any of these Asym games that I've mentioned will ever compete to DBD, and I don't think any game has a chance of competing to DBD on this level in the Asym genre, is because they always seem to tie themselves to specific licenses.
Yep.
Like, how many Texas Chainsaw Massacre characters are you gonna have before you run out?
And here's the double problem with this, is like most horror IPs that have sequels, like the rights are not all in one place. So you'll have somebody have the rights to Texas Chainsaw 1, but then somebody has the rights to Texas Chainsaw 2. So you can't go in and like put Stretch into Texas Chainsaw Massacre because the rights are specifically with the rights holders of the first film, but somebody else owns that one. So you can't use that. It's just, it gets complicated really, really quickly. So it just creates a mess. And then what ends up happening is like you only get essentially what is one palette of enjoyment, right? So like, let's say there's like a, like you sit down to dinner and the theme is fruit, like for some reason, like there's like one of those little food trays. You got like pineapple, you got apple slices, you got oranges, but like, if that's all you have is just, okay, it was just a bunch of fruit. That's not a fulfilling meal. You got to have like other stuff to supplement your needs. But that's essentially what happens with Asyms that focus completely on one IP. Is like, yeah, we do the fruit thing, and we do it really, really well. Pineapple's good, apple's good, but like you need more than that to supplement yourself. So it doesn't matter how good you do the one thing, you gotta supplement it with others. Like DBD is perfect in the sense that like it's almost a full course meal every single time. You're having a protein, you're having fruit, you're having veggies, and in that case, you know, the correlation to that is like, okay, well, we have like space horror with like Xeno and like Singularity. We have slasher horror as like the bedrock of like a lot of the original killers fall into that. Obviously Myers, Freddy. But then we have like kind of like, you know, cosmic kind of like eldritchy kind of horror that you can't really put a finger on, like something like Sadako, something like Pinhead, even Unknown, despite being an original character, falls into that. Like there's so many different beats and types of horror that even if you get like bored of one, like I said, it's a full course meal. You can just go somewhere else, not just fruit on the table every single day. But like, even like if you do the one very well, I think that's one thing that's a problem with like Texas Chainsaw that I noticed that I was already getting bored of before even I stopped playing. It was like, yeah, they're introducing a lot of like really good original characters. Like Johnny is legitimately cool and Sissy was cool, but like they all have to vaguely be tied to they have to be the creepy backwoods family member that has some sort of problem, and that's what makes them scary, and that's it, right? They may have different little quirks to them, like Johnny's is that, you know, he hunted down women and that was his thing. Sissy is the more cult brainwashed version of that. Hans, the new guy, is apparently the origin story of how Bubba got his mask. He's big, scary biker man. But they're all kind of like the same. They're all cut from the same cloth. They're all basically the same character with alterations. They're all scary backwoods family member killing people. So it doesn't matter how many times you rehash that or how many like little like flourishes you do with the lore or the backstory that makes them quirky and different. They're all still essentially the same character with variation. Which works for like a singular film, but not like an ASIM that you repeat over and over and over, because eventually you're just going to get bored of it. So the fact that DBD can hit all those different genres and give you a different experience character to character is what makes it like really, really good.
The character that I can think of that comes to mind with Texas that I would actually be interested in playing the game again for is honestly Chop Top. They have no other characters that are anywhere near as interesting as the main three. Like, it's all great adding new original survivors for Texas. That's fine. New teens, new family members, but like, who gives a fuck? The main reason that DBD has survived for so long is because of all the amazing licenses and characters that they keep dragging in and crossovers and all of these amazing events. When your game is literally called Texas Chainsaw Massacre the Game, you're not gonna add fucking Jason Voorhees or Freddy Krueger. You can't because of licensing issues, and also it just doesn't make sense to. I would also like to discuss the idea though that these games can
Well, that's why VHS up to this day I think was the most promising one, because like you had, you know, Alien Experiment monster, which was like and then you had Werewolf, which was its own kind of horror, and then you had robots. Like it was hitting different kinds of genres, different like themes with its different characters and monsters. Like even though like, you know, it was all like, okay, well, it's 80s VHS themed, like there was a lot of different genres of horror based behind each character, so that made it more dynamic. But like most, like I was saying earlier, most ASIMs just kind of go with one theme for the kind of horror they're trying to go with, and it just does kind of fizzles out really quickly.
Incredible fun, and honestly, if you're buying them just with the idea of having fun and not to be, oh, this game is gonna kill DBD, you're gonna have an incredible time. Like I said, Killer Clowns from Outer Space is one of my favorite gaming experiences of all time. Now, admittedly, I've only played about 7 to 8 hours, but I've had it for 2 days, so that is a lot of time in 2 days. Another thing that DBD has on top of all of these other gaming companies and other developers, even like really popular developers, is that it has a steady flow of content. Whether that content is to the highest of DBD DBD's ability is highly debatable, but they always release a new chapter every 3 months. Essentially, where we're at right now is every week there's a new bundle, there's also new cosmetics, so there's always something being added. With other games like Texas Chainsaw, that like every 6 months or so they add a family member and a new map, but it's very inconsistent from what I can tell. And honestly, like I said, they've added nothing that has interested me or like made me want to come back to the game. I essentially bought it, played it for 50 hours, which is a huge time sink, and then just gave up. DBD has all of these incredible licenses.
I think like this is a very, very good point. I like a lot of the points you're making in this video. I do agree with Fire. It's just like they can't seem to get the formula right. And I think like the main reasons that Asyms fail is because of like first, so like what we talked about, this stuff is like they're kind of just like pigeonholing themselves into a very specific niche, which kind of like limits their enjoyment of and how many people they can pull in. But also like a lot of Asyms are made as like a wish fulfillment of things that DBD doesn't do that they wish it did, which usually ends up in one side having an extreme edge over the other to the point where it's just like not fun at all. Like VHS in a sense was kind of like a survivor wish fulfillment because the whole point was the survivors were super strong and they could fight back and they made weapons and they could like gank you and there was no way to really do anything about it. Like it was a survivor wish fulfillment. What if it was an Asym, except the survivors just have such an aggressive edge that it's like miserable unless you want to play like a 50-minute match to wait them out. And a lot of Asyms do that where they're like, okay, it's DBD, but we're going to change this core aspect of what makes DBD enjoyable to make one side really, really feel good. I believe there was one. It was the what was the Asian themed one? It was the one that was based off of a single player horror game, but then it became an Asym. Forget what that one was called. Home Sweet Home. Yeah, Home Sweet Home had it to where like the killers were just like kicking everybody's teeth in all the time. And it got boring for that reason too, for a multitude of other reasons. Like that was the opposite side. Home Sweet Home, where it was just like there wasn't much you could do on the other end. And it's like you adjust the formula that heavily, it's like you're going to lose the identity of what you were trying to make to begin with. And obviously if it's a two-sided game and you make one side kind of miserable, nobody wants to be the other side.
Is they have like releases happening all the time of really incredible original characters and licensed killers and survivors, so honestly I don't see why any gamer would pick any other game over DBD. Well, that's not entirely true. I can see why some people would pick a game over DBD, and that's because you don't like DBD and you're fed up of the way that DBD devs do things, or you're fed up of the layoffs, or you're fed up of any DBD problem. And so essentially what happens is the hype train hype up this brand new Asym, and it's like, this is the best Asym you've ever played, buy it now, it's gonna be great, we're gonna play it forever. And then they play it for about 2 months and immediately go back to DBD, spend all their money on Oryx, and it's kind of like, I made a joke about this on my Twitter, it's like a toxic relationship where you just keep coming back. I am essentially in a toxic relationship with Dead by Daylight because every couple of months I take a short little break, play another Asym, and then come right back. Essentially the thing that's killing the Asym space is everyone searching for a DBD killer, which will never happen. You're never gonna kill DBD, especially not with a one license movie tie-in game. It's like you're not gonna fucking kill DBD with Killer Clowns.
Yeah, it's about like making like an alternative good experience that's really good that you like going to, because you're not gonna dethrone the original. I think it's like a good example in real life that's a lot less serious. Not that DBD is serious, but it's like, you know, there's like a bajillion fast food burger joints, but who are they all trying to be? Who would they all love to sit in the seat of? What main fast food joint would they all love to be and give an arm and a leg and their firstborn to be? Who is it? Give you a hint. Golden Arches, baby. Who we trying to be? Every burger joint wants to be Wendy's. No. Wendy's nuts fit in your mouth. Got him. McDonald's. Yeah, they're trying to be Mickey D's. They're trying to be Mickey D's. Every burger joint would give an arm and a leg to be Mickey D's. They're all McDoubles. Now, there's a lot of different things that make other burger joints, or fast food burger joints, more applicable, right? Like the frame rolled patties Burger King, very good. Wendy's, like they do that. Like, what was that? Yeah, and also Wendy's has a wider selection than McDonald's does. But there's always like a reason to potentially go to like another burger place to enjoy. But McDonald's will always be the king in the castle. They will always be the most profitable burger joint, but you got to have a niche or something cool and awesome about your restaurant that makes people want to go there. Whether it be wider selection, different preparation of the patty, something that makes you want to go there. Frosties, yeah, the Frosties are really good. Welcome to Wendy's, here's your Frosty. Yeah, the Frosties are amazing, and that beats McDonald's ice cream, period. So that's like their thing. It's like, well, if I want ice cream with my food, probably gonna go to Wendy's. You can't be Coke, but you could be Dr. Pepper. Also, a great analogy. Also, Dr. Pepper recently just became the second best-selling soda of all time. Finally surpassed Pepsi, right under Coke. Woo. You're gonna do what to Pepsi? I thought we were,
Genuinely one of the worst
things
for
rush killers
DBD
and projectile killers on controller
Asyms to grow is the community trying so desperately to kill
be braver
DBD
than I
and backstab DBD. Originally, about 2 to 3 years ago, everyone was like basically demanding a health patch, and that's where it came from, because the game was in a terrible buggy state, and they kept releasing updates that were terrible. But now, understandably so, it's coming from the place of the behavior layoffs, but they're still using killer clowns as like a way to kill DBD, but it's not gonna work. Dead by Daylight as a company doesn't care about you as the devoted fan. They care about the general audience.
Oh, he does?
I
really?
guarantee that there are hundreds of
I would not have
of people who
that,
play
actually.
DBD on a day-to-day basis.
Most people are like, man, I hate playing with a controller.
They don't look at
That's good,
news.
though.
They just play DBD.
That's
Dead
not
by
that
Daylight
way.
is a very mainstream game at the moment, so to expect people to know everything that's going on is just not realistic. As much as I appreciate the sentiment that the behavior layoffs were a really bad thing, because they were a really terrible thing, I don't think that the general audience is going to even know about that. The only thing that you're going to do to behavior by not supporting Dead by Daylight
That's a very interesting and very, very good point, Fire, that I brought up before. Is like, you never know what's coming down from the higher ups, because like, especially lately, it seems like they're trying to communicate with us more, be more receptive to our thoughts, feelings, and changes, but we don't know what's coming down from the higher ups. So who knows what's really happening unless you like actively work there. Yeah, that's what happened to me, Bubs. Like I started on not DBD specifically, but most of my gaming life I was on console. So when I switched to PC gaming, I continued to play on a controller. It also didn't help that I played mostly fighting games, which you use an external like fight stick for anyway. So even when I switched over to PC, I still used my controller mostly for gaming. I also like Dark Souls a lot, which obviously you don't play on mouse and keyboard either. So I just kind of like, it took me a while to switch over from mouse and keyboard gaming, period. From when I started PC gaming, but it's mouse keyboard's definitely way better for DBD, way better. As a console, nope, you're laying down the card, the console card. Okay, Bluebird Gaming is a very hardworking and care about the community. It's just the company itself that holds it back quite a lot. Yeah, because you guys go into like going into like that, when you would test stuff, you guys would give your feedback, like a lot, and then, not all of that would make it into the game, but like, it's kind of like, it's weird, right? It's like a suggestion box or a suggestion submission. Like you put it in anonymously, and not really anonymously, but you put it in, it goes and like it's seen, but it does not always acted upon. And then there's that like that vagueness of like, why wasn't it acted upon? Why didn't they do this? And that's just like, it's like impossible to tell, right? Play Dark Souls on a mouse and keyboard. Are you okay? Are you all right? Blink twice if you're being held hostage.
Get more people fired, so don't do that. Stop trying to seek Asym games to be the Dead by Daylight killer, because Dead by Daylight is not going anywhere, and your silly little Asym game isn't gonna kill DBD. I don't think the developers of Texas Chainsaw Massacre see it this way. I don't think the developers of Killer Clowns see it this way, but I think all of the player base of DBD see it this way. Seeking out a new DBD rather than a Killer Clowns from outer space is honestly probably one of the most problematic things that the community does. Games that just release, especially Asym games, which is a very big niche by the way, aren't going to release with a million different things. DBD is really well developed, and honestly I'd hope that it would be after 8 years of fucking development with hundreds of different people involved. The way I see it is that DBD will always be king. Nothing you do will ever change that as an individual. It just has a massive head start on every other company, and it has all of these incredible licenses set out for it from the gate, so essentially nobody is gonna have a start like that. The closest thing I think we've ever had to a DBD killer is VHS.
Hey,
and honestly, look at how
earlier.
well that went. The only reason that I even think VHS was a close...
VHS was so fucking funny because VHS was like, it was in beta forever. And people were very, very, very vocal about, hey, while this is in beta, these things gotta change before this hits like a live version of the game, because these things make the game unfun. And then they just kind of just all collectively looked at the camera and went, no, you're wrong. Anyways, would you like to buy our starter pack for like $300? Like, it's just it's funny because like the community got in on that too, because they were so brainwashed to that VHS was going to work. They're like, oh yeah, see, anything you dislike about the game is just a skill issue. Anything you dislike about the game is just a skill issue. It's a you problem. And it's just like a hive mind. So like all the problems in the game mostly went unaddressed, which made it unenjoyable, which made people stop playing it. Just Digitomie? Oh no. Yeah, I say that, but I've spent an atrocious amount of money on DBD with the defense of I'm a creator, you can't yell at me, but it's an atrocious amount. They keep their games so much from DVD players. Dude, the amount of times I have heard in Texas Chainsaw, I heard in VHS, I even heard people start saying about Killer Clowns, it's like, oh, you're one of those DVD players, aren't you? Anytime something goes wrong. It's like, oh, you're a DVD player, aren't you? It's like, do you not want people to buy and play your game so it actually beats the competition that you're so mad at? Like, come on.
DBD killer was because it didn't have any specific licenses. It wasn't tied down like every other asim. I mean, you could argue Home Sweet Home Survive was like a competitor, but honestly, it didn't come anywhere close, and I guarantee most people watching this don't even know what that is. So my message to all of you
I couldn't even remember the name earlier.
Asyms, and mainly who play DBD, stop trying to kill DBD. DBD isn't actually that bad. The game is pretty good. It still keeps hundreds of people employed, although what they did recently was very shaky. The fact that we support this game does keep people employed, it keeps people in jobs. The fact that you buy Killer Clowns from Outer Space or Texas keeps those people employed. If you support a game with money, more will come from it, more people will thrive, the game will thrive, we'll get more stuff like that. If you
Is that what happened with VHS? Did we pour a lot of money in that? Did that work out? Sorry.
Enjoy these games
I
and
just
you care very
up.
deeply for these people, keep supporting them. That's all that you have to do, is just keep supporting them, keep playing, keep enjoying. The world is a very problematic place, and honestly, I think if you really just disagree with the things that Behavior have done, which I do too, if you strongly disagree,
take the money
play
around,
another game, or honestly, just don't spend money on Dead by Daylight. I am very fed up of all of the tweets saying, let's cancel Dead by Daylight, guys, let's get together and let's stop DBD. You're not gonna do it, guys. You can only rally up so many Twitter plebs that it won't work. It won't work. And I do appreciate the sentiment that you're helping people. But honestly, the best way you can help these people is by supporting them directly through their work or through other things. Some of the worst companies in the world are some of the most expensive, some of the ones who are the most successful. And honestly, bad people thrive all the time, but I don't think Behavior is bad. I think maybe the big CEO company figureheads at the top are bad, but I guarantee if any of us went to Behavior's head office and we spoke to the people there, we would honestly get along.
I thought it was so funny when all this stuff came up. People were like, yeah, heck, everybody who works at Behavior. Like, meanwhile, like on Twitter, if you actually follow the actual like devs or people that work there, they're like, Bob from the cubicle over just got fired. I hung out with him for so long, and I was just gone. like it is definitely not what you think is happening. Man, I worked with you for years. Now you're just gone. Darn, this sucks.
With the people there. Generally, from what I know, most of Behavior staff seem really nice, like honestly kind-hearted people. I've been looking at all the tweets about them losing their colleagues,
they're just
and
as
they've
we
been
were.
very respectful about it. So please just stop trying to kill the things that we have and the games that we love. That would be appreciated. You're not even gonna make a bump. If I stop drinking Coca-Cola today, that's not gonna make a change at all. It's gonna make a very minimal change, but it's not gonna make a massive change. Coca-Cola's CEO isn't gonna sit there discussing that HorrorTomie has stopped drinking Coca-Cola what do we do? So my best message to everyone is use your platform for good, which is ironically, I suppose, kind of not what I'm doing in this video. Seek out people that were employed for behavior. I've seen a few tweets about people who are doing commissions now who are fired from behavior. So honestly, if you could just commission some of their art, do some stuff like that, that would be great. Because essentially what everyone's doing by trying to kill DBD every 5 minutes is killing every other Asym game in its wake. Try to have fun when you play DBD, try to have fun when you play Killer Clowns, try to have fun when you play Home Sweet Home Survive. Just try to have fun, try and be respectful. If you genuinely care, speak with money. There are ways to give your money to people who are
unemployed. The fact that she gave you a gen and a half just sitting in that room is ridiculous.
There are ways to help all of these Asym developers. Just do it. This is going to be my $5 a month moment where I just say, essentially, if you do care enough about these people, you will try and actually help them. Although I do appreciate that with content creators, you are helping them by platforming them. That's essentially what I'm doing in this, being as I have actually funded nobody from behavior. I haven't helped anybody. But the fact that I'm putting this out to you is helping in a way. Stop trying to boycott every gaming company every 5 seconds, and please just, if you enjoy the game, play the game. If you want to help people, help people. I guess that's my main point of this video, is honestly, if you see people suffering, help them. It's a good thing to
novel concept.
Anyways, guys, that's all for this video. Kind of bleak, but honestly not really, because my general message is to just try and help these people, respect them, send them love. Anyways, that's all, guys. I'll see you soon for another video. Bye-bye.
No, I will not see. I'll never watch any of your videos ever again because you're sneaky and you smell and you're the worst. On opposite day. How'd you go in there? How'd you go in there? How'd you go in there? Might flash that. Shit. Yeah, I agree with most of the things. I like your points of like, I never thought about that, like how important like the celebration, like holiday cycle kind of thing that DBD does is really, really integral to its success. That's something I never thought about before. Well, shit, every day is a school day. I've been learning today. I've been learning. That's a very good point that I never even thought of before. Want to clip this out of context? Do it. Do it. Flip it, ship it. You know, Bran's evil and terrible. He hates his video. Her friends only sending a message. Yeah, see, that's what people were doing. Like, unironically, they're like, take down the devs. And it's like, they didn't do anything. They just worked there. Listen, when I worked at McDonald's, both trainer, manager, manager. When I worked at McD's, good old McDougal's, my managers, there were 2 of them, it's a power couple, were some of the most like greedy, grubby individuals I've ever met in my life. Like, they definitely fit the corporate structure because they were just like very fake social, but just at their heart, just the most selfish human beings I've ever met in my entire life. Okay, maybe the second most selfish individuals I've ever met. But they're up there. They're top 3. My point being is that like they'd made a lot of very, very nasty, bad decisions for the sake of greed and for the sake of their own success. That would be like you getting mad at me, who was just like the assistant manager that works there, and all the crew that just worked at my McDonald's for their decisions. Like, I didn't make that decision. I don't own the franchise. I can't do anything about that. I just work here, man. I'm just trying to, at that point, I was just paying through college. It was just my way to make sure that I got the loans paid for the half I had to pay just to even have it. Like, that's how I paid through college. That's how I paid for my books that I needed for my classes. Like that was my thing. Like, I didn't make those decisions. But if you would like to like boycott me, like, I didn't do it. That would just be really, really rough for like me and my crew, you know? It was just kind of that's kind of like a similar situation. It's like you're targeting the wrong people in that scenario, so it's way more difficult than that. Faceless executors, exactly. They didn't do anything. The faceless executors did.